What is up, everybody? I wanted to go through our stack sheet for the people that aren't familiar with it. This is a tool, it's just a spreadsheet with a bunch of calculations and formulas that go into creating a stack rating for each team overall, and then the pairings individually, and even the bringbacks that you can use with these stacks to help give people an idea of where the correlation kind of falls off. In my opinion, where the upside starts, you start to lose some by increasing your stack size, and can sort of identify, okay, which are the teams that are the best to stack with two receivers and a bringback, which are the teams that are best to stack with just one guy, and which are the maybe quarterbacks that are best to not even try to stack with in a couple cases where you've got a guy with maybe a lot of rushing upside. So this is what you see with the stack sheet is this main screen right here, this main sheet right here that identifies the top option overall is the furthest left in the single column. Of course, then it goes from there, double, triple. The rating is based on it's relative to the best option. So you'll see that the best option is going to be rated as a 1. That'll be the case every single week. The ratings below that are strictly relative to that option and nothing else. That way that you're comparing to like things. You don't want to be comparing stack this week to possible stacks that aren't even available to you. All that matters are the options that are available to you now. So Patrick Mahomes with Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce, they're tied with the top rating overall. That would be the best stack. The moving to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, you don't lose anything. That's how much upside I believe that the Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce stack has. The next best from both a single and a double stack perspective is Russ Wilson with DK Metcalf, and slightly behind him is Tyler Lockett. Some people will disagree with that this week and say that Tyler Lockett is the better play. But I still think when it comes to upside, which is largely what this is identifying, it's DK Metcalf as the guy. See that it's basically tied the Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf stack with the Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams stack. They're very, very similar, not much lost there. Small drop off to Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley. You see that the double stacks, though, are quite a big drop off from Russell Wilson's double stack, the Seahawks double stack. So you're better off single stacking Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan than you are with Russell Wilson, where you can expand the stack a little bit. Triple stacking, again, it's still Kansas City. That's heavily weighted towards Hill and Kelce just kind of carrying this. Nicole Hardman is still a fine guy to use. But you see that it doesn't just necessarily go in order. The next best 3-man stack is San Francisco. And that's in line with probably what you should expect, is that San Francisco, having those 3 weapons there, they're going to grade out really well. For when their upside hits, you're going to have potentially 3 guys going off. It's really hard to project 3 guys for other offenses. You can get 2 pretty well for some of these, like we're talking about with Kansas City, but like the third, it's really hard to nail those guys. And you see that relative to that Tyreek Hill stack or Travis Kelce stack or that double stack, these numbers are much lower on these triple stacks. The biggest things that go into this is I'm looking at potential scoring. So a lot of this is like you can use like the team total. The concentration of targets is big too. The confidence that we know where the ball's going to go should add value to your stack, your interest in stacking a team. And of course, just overall volume of opportunity in the passing game, teams that are going to pass more are better to stack generally. Teams are going to pass a lot. There's teams are going to score a lot. And teams where you know the ball's going to go. It's basically what we need, or I wanted to identify. That's what these numbers do. It's taking all of that information and a few other things as well. It's accounting for salary too, DraftKings salary. It's taking all those things into account to give us just one number to help rank these, rather than trying to look at a bunch of things and figure out, okay, well, how does this all shake out? Like, what's more important than the next thing? And I've already done this all for you. You'll notice that some of these stacks are going to include running backs. You'll notice that almost all the time, if not every single time, it's going to be a very heavily a running back that's very heavily involved in the pass game, of course, right? So you see Eckler, you see Chase Edmonds, you see Christian McCaffrey. Those are the kind of running backs you're going to see in the recommended stacks. And they're very rarely going to be like a single stack option. You're going to want to use them as you're increasing your stack size. So it'll be the second or third options if you do see them. You're not going to see tight ends a ton. Occasionally you'll see it. You see for the Lions, because they don't even hardly have any receivers, that Hawkinson's there. Even Fells is the number. Man, that offense is so bad. So I guess this is a really rare situation. Hopefully we can get another receiver in that stack by the time the last round of projections get in there. But tight ends are a lot less common, because when we're talking about upside, you're usually going to get that from receivers, or in rare cases, running backs that can be very heavily involved in the pass game. So it's not to say that this is the Bible of like tools, right? Like, you don't have to look at this and say, okay, it's only these guys. But I will say that very, very, very often, the guys that grade out at the top of my stack sheet are literally the guys I'm most likely to use on my teams. There's not much deviation from this sheet. If I have 10 teams, there's a good chance that at least 8 of them are going to be in the top 10 the stack sheet. If I have 3 teams, almost every single time I have at least 1 or 2 teams from the top 3 in the stack sheet. So it's a guide, but it's a very, very strong guide. Occasionally there will be a guide that a stack that grades out very low on this, and I'll disagree with it. When that happens, it's usually because the team has a low scoring projection, and I just disagree with the upside of the scoring potential. And specific examples just from this week. I'm recording this in week 1. You may be watching this after that, but the Giants offense, especially knowing that the targets are very likely to go to one or multiple of these 3 guys, with Golladay, Shepard, and Slayton, with Ingram out of the picture. Like, taking Ingram out of the picture creates a very large boost. And if you think that Kenny Golladay is close to 100%, he becomes a very attractive option. Like, if I were to go back and manually change the scoring upside for the Giants, that's basically the thing that's holding it back, and the Giants would just shoot fairly high up, probably be in the top 10 or so if I gave them a slightly above average scoring projection. So occasionally I will disagree, and it's for something like that. Try to see another offense that I might be interested in. That's pretty much it. You could potentially look at Bridgewater as well in that game for the same reason. Jalen Hurts is just really hard to project where it's going to go, and that's why he's grading out pretty low. It's like trying to project where the targets are going to go for some of these offenses. If there's a lot of uncertainty there, that's you're losing value. Right? There is value in the overall confidence that you can have in where the targets are going, because everything is based on a probability. How confident you are in the probability of the targets going somewhere is like one of a number of different things that you can have certain confidence levels in, and the thinner the range of outcomes that you can project for certain things, the more accurate you can assume that that is, right? So that goes for targets, that goes for yards, that goes for yards per attempt. All these sorts of things are compiled to create these projections, and we cannot forget the confidence of the stability of these projections. And certain stats, it makes more sense to have confidence in than others. It's more important to the upside than others, and you can accept the variance for certain things, right? So touchdowns, for example, right? Like we can project scoring output overall pretty well, but distribution of where the market share goes, there's a lot of variance in that week to week. So you don't want to put too much confidence in necessarily the market share overall, yet you can still have a lot of confidence in the total scoring output overall. And there's value in how you project that, and how accurate you can be with things when you kind of take that perspective. So this is the main part, the main thing you're going to look at. This is just something else I added to kind of make it a quick reference point for you, so you can quickly compare different things. It's just a different way to organize the data, and it takes the actual player names out, so it's less cluttered, right? And it's maybe even a better starting point if you just kind of wanted to narrow down the teams that you wanted to look closer at, and then the one above is kind of something you'll be referencing as you're building the lineups at that point. So again, this is just the stack rating by the number of receivers, just like it is above here, and this is the stack rating by the number of receivers if you're using a bring back. And it's just all right next to each other, easy to reference. And if you're wondering, well, who's the number one receiver, you just scroll up to see who it is. The just here, it's just different ways to view these things, ranking things in order, so you can kind of see, since this isn't sorted, since these aren't sortable, this is just basically sorted for you by each thing. So hopefully this is useful to people. This is one of my favorite tools that I've built for NFL. I rely on this a lot, and I think this really reflects well my point of view of kind of just how I value each thing that goes into why I like different stacks. It's one thing to kind of figure out which stack you like, and then another thing to be able to kind of quantify that in a form like this and make sure that you are weighing things appropriately relative to each other, right? If you're just kind of winging things, you could be missing something. But if you're making sure, okay, let me identify the things that I prioritize the highest and make sure that that's reflected this way, you're not going to miss anything. You can't miss anything. And it's not like an easy thing to build. This took a while to adjust things to make sure that it was reflecting the way I wanted things to be reflected. And it's still a little bit of adjusting is needed. At this point, though, like I can basically just input update the inputs, and it's going to spit out exactly what I expect, really close to what I expect. Very few surprises, just because it's all my opinion in numerical form. And like those sorts of things, when I can accomplish that, it's very useful to subscribe to. That's exactly what they need. You basically don't even have to ask me what my favorite stacks are, because it's the ones that it says on the sheet. So appreciate you tuning in. Hope you enjoy this tool. Good luck with it. Do awesome things.